What's happening? MC Marcus Chapman here to break down show number 7 in EMC 25. It's a show that was done November 21st, 1998, and it's called Damn, You Can't Speak? Yes, and actually, out of all the shows I ever did, this might actually be my favorite show. It's not the best one, but it may be the one that I've listened to the most, and it's definitely, if not my absolute favorite, it's one of my favorites. And here's the breakdown to it, all right? So I have been doing the after set, as I mentioned in a couple of videos, since March of 97. And by the time we got to October of 98, October 20th was when I got the phone call that I was going to be hosting the Saturday Night Request Party, as it was called at the time. Saturday night, 6 to 10 with my man, Dr. Love, all right? So that October 24th was our first show together. So that was my breakthrough to prime time after, doing radio for, what was it, 6 years at that point, including college, 6 years. And I've been at the station since summer 95. So I was happy to finally get that breakthrough. I had actually gotten passed up for the spot and everything, but I got the breakthrough. I was on in prime time, and the change was totally different in terms of reaction from the public. I was becoming, it was funny because even though I had been doing it for a while, it was the first time a lot of people had heard me, because the average person wasn't listening Friday night going into Saturday morning 3 to 6. So a lot of people didn't know how good I was. So when they heard me for the first time Saturday night, it was like, damn, who's this new guy? He's pretty good. Not realizing I had been around. But for those who had been listening, they knew, and they were happy that I had made that next step. So the response I started getting out in the street was real positive. In 98, a lot of the response I got was negative because I was on overnight and people hadn't heard me. I was only on once a week. So now people were starting to kind of accept me and like me, in more ways than one. It was like people was like, hey, they would ask me what time I came on. They found out I worked for the station. Saturday night, 6 to 10. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I can check you out before I go to the party. So that kind of vibe just totally changed everything. My whole life started changing. Everything started changing. Matter of fact, one of the things that happened was by me being on in prime time now Saturday night, even though it was just once a week, it made the possibility of me hosting events come up more. And as an air personality in radio, you can make some pretty good money hosting events, sometimes even more than you get paid from actually working at the station, because especially if you're doing weekends, because that's, part-time work. So you're only getting paid about an hour, and you get paid for those hours that you work. But being on in prime time, especially at that time, Saturday night, 6 to 10, we used to call that the money spot, because that was the best spot to be on to host parties, because the rule was if a club was advertising with the station or a promoter, whoever was doing the party, if they bought advertising with the station and they hired you as a host, you could mention that you were going to be at that spot once an hour, every hour, the day of the event, or whatever the last time was you were on the air for that particular show, for that event. All right. So the previous week of this show, November 14th, 1998, I made my first official appearance for WGCI. I had hosted a Kappa party at Union Hall like the year before that. And I think I had maybe done one other thing, but this was the first time that I got paid to be a host, because I was working at GCI and, I was on the air telling people. So that particular appearance was at a spot in Waukegan, Illinois called Fun Harbor. And I remember the sales rep asking me, she mentioned how much I was going to get paid. She was like, is that okay? I was like, yeah, that's cool. I kind of played it cool. But in my mind, I was like, oh, damn, y'all going to pay me that much just to show up to a party? Yeah. I got paid cash and everything. Everything was cool. So like that next week, like I remember some partners of mine had a clothing store on 87th Street right off of Stony Island called Crew Sports. So I went to their spot and I did a little shopping. Prior to that, I had always done my shopping in like Evergreen Plaza Mall or when I was younger, River Oaks Mall. My mom, we would go there sometime. But when my boys had this spot open, Keelan and Freeland and their brother Clint, their older brother, they all had this spot. And so since I had the money and they had the spot, I went to their business to support their business because I knew they had the type of clothes that I wanted to wear. So I went in there and I remember I got about 3 Nietzsche shirts. That was a hot designer, new designer. Got some Jabots, I think I got a new belt maybe or something. I had gotten some shoes. I don't think I got the shoes from them. But the whole point was I just got a new coat. So I had, my fresh gear and everything. I was feeling good, had the new show, people were starting to appreciate me and like me and respond good. And so I remember somebody, I believe it was Ferris, DJ Ferris, told me about this party on Thursday nights at a spot called Club Elixir. Now, Elixir, Thursday nights, first of all, I usually didn't go out during the week. Even when I was really young, like in college, I didn't normally go out during the week. I would normally do my partying on Friday or Saturday. And so I wouldn't have normally went out on Thursday, but I went ahead, took a chance. I was feeling good, had the new show to promote, had the new gear and everything. So I went to this party, and man, this was one of the best parties I ever went to. The DJ was downstairs. It was my first time meeting him or seeing him. His name was the Bulu Master. Yeah, he's a legend in Chicago now, but people were just starting to really find out about him at the time. He wasn't even on the radio yet. He didn't get on the radio till next year. So Bulu was DJing. When I first walked in the spot, they had like a little pool area on the main level, and R. Kelly was in there shooting pool. Him and his people, they was in there hanging out. It was like, okay, cool. I had met him earlier that summer, and I got a drop from him where he said, what's up, Chicago? It's R. Kelly. I'm chilling with Marcus Chapman on the after set on WGCI Peace. And, but I saw him at the party. I didn't go over there because it was so many people in there. I ain't never really been real big on trying to make my way close to a celebrity if they was in a function doing their thing. So I let him do his thing, and I focused on the real stars of the party as far as I was concerned, which were the beautiful women. And there were many of them. Trust me. I met one. I remember this chick. She was in college. Her name was Kelly. She was bad. She was like 5'2", 120, caramel complexion. Bad. I met a couple more at the end of the party. I saw this beautiful girl. I thought she was like a model from New York or something, but she was actually from Africa, from Sierra Leone. It was Zena. Zena was gorgeous. Oh man, she had the pretty accent and everything. So I got her number and everything. I'm feeling good. So the party was great, but the only thing about it, there were, as I mentioned this in the show, there were about 5 or 6 women there who I had seen at other events in maybe the 2 years leading up to that. At different spots, I didn't know their names because we had never been introduced or never met. But whenever I tried to speak to them, they always acted funny, and they were doing that particular night, and it was just really weird to me. So I took that to the radio. Personalities, you use real life events, and sometimes, you get that to your audience and let them say what they got to say. So I went on the air and I mentioned that. That was part of my MC rap session for that particular week on the after set when I did this show that Friday night going into Saturday morning, so the next night. So I went there, took that on the air, and people started calling in, giving their reasons why they thought I had the experience I had, why people wasn't speaking, because it was just so really weird. And I actually had a similar experience this past week in 2017, where I saw some people out who I tried to speak to them, and they, was kind of acting funny, and it's like, it's weird to me, But that night in 98, it was especially weird because I knew I had seen them chicks before, and even, I wasn't even necessarily trying to holler at them, because at that time, since I had the new Saturday night show, a lot of times I would just tell people, hey, what's up? I introduced myself to them, we talking over there, hey, check out my new show, and people would listen, or sometimes they didn't, but at least they knew what was going on. So that was the basis of this show, and you hear the responses from people. The funniest one, actually from, she was a girl at the time, a woman who I knew for real, who I met the year before, called in, and, she was saying how it never really stops at hello, and, guys never, leave it at that. They want to know what's your name, you got a man and all that. And my response was, I let her know that particular night at that party, I wasn't even going to do all that, And then, she was like, sometimes when you go out, you're not always looking to meet somebody. And then I come back and I say, not me. I'm always looking to meet somebody, which is funny to me because I still kind of had that same attitude. I don't, if I'm out, I like meeting new people. It's fun, it's cool in most cases, unless they got an attitude or something. So this particular show, like I said, is one of my favorites. The talk break I did over the Vanity 6 Nasty Girl. That's one of my favorites because of the way I rolled the groove. I gave out the info, but then toward the end, I got kind of in rhythm with the beat, and it sounds really good. I really enjoy that break, and it's kind of a precursor because when we started, Dr. Love and I started hosting the River West Brewery on Chicago and Halsted in downtown Chicago. A lot of times I would end up I started talking over the different house tracks that DJ Vince Adams was playing, and that Vanity 6 Nasty Girl would always be a part of the house set. So I would, I did a lot of talking and saying some interesting stuff over that at the party. So, and then the last hour I did the MC Coffee Club. I got a real good talk break, got a call that goes over Ozzy Brothers' Footsteps in the Dark. I did the Taking You Back with the Whitney Houston Exhale, which went back to when I first got to GCI 95. So overall, it was just, it was a good show. It captures a really happy time of my life, the very beginning of the most exciting and happiest time of my life, because 1999 was the best year of my life. And once I got their promotion in October of 98, those last couple of months where everything was changing. Like I said, the energy was just really good. Even though, it was winter time and it was, the weather was cold, but the feeling I was getting from people was warm. It was a good feeling, and it just kind of led up to, it was like the preview or the preseason to the championship year I had in 1999. And this show captures that era. So it's coming in at number 7 in the MC25. The shows that I feel best represent what I brought to the game of radio. Again, taking a real life experience, putting it on the air, letting people call. And it was really who I was. It wasn't no faking or nothing. That was a real experience that I had. And I really enjoy this show to this day. It might be my number 1 favorite. Overall, it comes in at number 7. November 21st, 1998 on WGCI in Chicago. It really captures the feel of Chicago at that time. And it's definitely one of the shows that I have listened to the most and want to be remembered for. Even though it's not my absolute best, but it captures the beginning portion of that best time of my life. So coming up next, though, at number 6 is a show that was done in a different market. It definitely captures my most successful period in radio. That'll be in number 6, but right now, number 7, Damn, You Can't Speak? Why not? Speak when you see people out. It ain't that hard to be friendly. Say what's up, stop trying to be mean. Just speak to people when they speak to you, and everything will be all good, all right? That's how we doing it. Later.